How's it going, Lucas? Welcome.
Hey Xavier, I have this idea. Do you want to make a podcast?
You know, after watching a documentary on Soviet Russia, I'm actually in the mood for a podcast.
All right, welcome to the Standard View. This is a podcast.
What a great name!
Yeah, I'm Lucas, and my co-host here is Xavier.
Hi, I'm Xavier. Hi.
We also have two special guests today. Flynn.
What? Guess? No way.
Flynn. We have Flynn. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, and Isaac. Say hi, Isaac.
Hey, man.
All right. So welcome to the podcast. How's everyone feeling?
Well, it's a privilege to be the first guest.
Yeah, I mean you're very privileged, and Xavier just blew in his mic like a Nintendo cartridge, so that's cool. Yeah.
No, I'm excited, boys. I'm excited.
That's good. So what's it like studying at home? Because our world's kind of fucked right now, you know.
Right, it's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I find that it works incredibly well for some people, but for others, it's just like, it's a hassle.
I think it's just your level of motivation. You know, like how motivated you are to really keep on top of your stuff while school out.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I know. Go on.
I think the people who will come out of this doing the best will be just people who have a really good mindset. People who are really motivated. You know.
But I think either way, like school, right? Like that, I think they have to have an understanding that like the majority of people probably aren't going to stay on top of their work. I mean, we're only 1 week in. I assume that like there's already been like a lot of kids who haven't really applied themselves, and I mean, this could span on for like 2 or 3 months. And I think once you get past like 2 or 3 weeks, it's when, like people don't have a routine anymore. Like the people that do build a routine, they can kind of like maintain themselves, but those who don't, like they might find that they start struggling. So I think school has to understand that.
Yeah,
there's no accountability.
Of course.
That's so true. Like I've woken up every morning at 8:15. It's been the
exact same. I've set an alarm at 8:15 after going to bed at 2 a.m. like every night.
Do you think this disrupts the cycle of our mindset towards school? Because obviously, normally, you go term by term, and then you work hard to have those breaks in the middle, and then at the end of the year, you have your long summer holidays.
Yeah.
Do you reckon the whole mindset of the school year now has just been fucked over?
I don't think so.
I think it's pretty much the same. Like I feel like if you're a year 7s to 10 wouldn't get a lot of work done. I don't feel.
Yeah.
But you're in year 11 and 12, you're pretty much in charge of your learning. What do you
reckon?
reckon?
If you're in year 11 and 12 and you're really trying to like apply yourself, oh my god, my dad is watching. Yeah.
There's some mints out there.
Yeah, he's
a lot.
All right, Flynn's gone.
I'm back.
Yeah, we'll just
that bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Wait. With the magic.
After a minor interruption, my bad.
With the magic of editing, Flynn, what do you reckon?
Oh, guys, give me a sec. My parents are leaving.
Yeah.
I honestly think it is for kids who are going to do well anyway. They're going to do even better.
Yeah.
And for kids who are going to do shit either way, they're just going to do worse.
It's like
exactly. I think that. Yeah, I think the like the divide between the kind of the spectrums of kids at school will increase.
It's like capitalism, you know.
It's like a gladiator arena, and you put all the students in, and it's like it's the strongest and the most mentally tough that's going to come out of this.
Yeah,
100%, man.
I don't think it's that hard, honestly, but it's just kind of depressing, just sitting at home all day.
Yeah, it's really boring. Not gonna lie.
I mean, the education system's already broken, right, Flynn?
Exactly, man. Mate, you guys see that?
No, that's kind of a debate
No
topic that we have a lot. Like, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but for those listeners who don't know, the education system is actually broken. Like,
well, in Australia, we're actually, I think, we have it better off than America, because like if you're in the public school system in America, you're either one going to get shot, or two, you're just going to be.
Well, at least we have the ability to learn at school. And
yeah.
I mean, a lot of kids they don't, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
I don't know. What do you guys reckon? Do you reckon that when we get back to school eventually, whether that's a year, whether that's 3, that they will keep this online structure, or do you reckon everyone will do like worse being online?
On a real, I think this
think-
would change like the school system forever.
Of course, this
Do you
could be this could be the change that's needed to.
This would change the whole world forever. This event.
It will, of course.
I mean, we're actually
I could
living in it.
see like there being like the creation of some like pure online schools, like
yeah.
as an option rather than like something integrated into every school. It's
It's
just some
definitely
schools
like
become online
enhanced,
schools.
like online learning a lot more. So I think more like post school, like post grad, like kind of like when you delve into like university type stuff. People like nowadays they're already trying to like half their time, like basically limit all the time they have to go to university and learn online.
Yeah.
I think that'll
Yeah.
kind of advance that a lot more because people are being forced to do it, and like
Yeah.
the kind of the innovation in that area will become like a lot better.
The whole
I think-
function. Sorry, you go, Isaac. Sorry.
It's also like forcing like all the old teachers to like understand how technology works.
Exactly.
Which I think
True.
Of course.
it makes it more accessible for us. Like if you miss a day of school, there's some teachers who you message and they just like give you everything you need and you're caught up. But some teachers like they've just got no idea.
You
Like some
lose.
teachers, they're already prepared for that. Like, if they're
Yeah,
prepared
exactly.
for when you miss a day of school. Whereas, like, yeah, some, as you said, like, they just completely have no idea. Like, for it to take half an hour to like type a second message, let alone reply.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that the education system hasn't really changed from like the death scenario in like what 200 years.
I
Yeah,
would
I'd
I would
totally
say
agree.
something like 100 years. You know,
It's quite a significant amount of time. You could probably Google it, but
because
what has changed? Like, genuinely, what has changed? Someone
You
had
someone
the
to the front teaching you.
transition. You had the mass transition of textbooks to laptops, but that
Yeah,
was
but
gradual.
you're still reading them though. Like, like it's still like
Yeah.
this. I think the main difference between like the introduction of the internet, so people can find information a lot quicker than they can by reading a book. That's where the main difference has happened in the last like
school hasn't changed though.
century or two.
Apparently,
the actual practicality, yeah.
apparently the content's gotten a tiny bit harder because of the internet.
Oh, I'd say over time
makes
school has just become better, like more refined.
Yeah, of
Obviously, that's
course.
with anything. That's just. But I
Yeah.
think that if it's all online, we'll get to a point where what's the point of paying however much you pay a year in school when you could just go
Yeah.
online? Or you, even what Isaac said, there might be just some schools that just offer purely online courses. Like there's
Yeah.
online universities, and you can just get all the content online and get a degree without even going in a university, which is just insane.
But you have to think about like what you're sacrificing when you do something like that. Because if this was my like full schooling life, like I actually wouldn't have mates.
True.
Yeah.
Like, and I wouldn't have sport. I wouldn't have music or anything.
Mhm.
Like, I think you lose too much of like the social and like
You
physical
got to remember
aspect of
that's a big
school.
aspect of school as well. That's
Yeah.
why most people actually enjoy school because you get to see your mates. I remember. I mean, I know we're getting a bit older now, but I remember for like the most part of before like year 10, even like nowadays. I mean, I want to go to school to like see my mates. Like, that'd be the biggest disappointment
True.
on the holidays.
Yeah,
But
like
I can't see
yeah,
my
all
mates,
three of them.
Yeah.
Like
and
both
that'd be
of
like,
them.
and that'd be like the best kind of the one thing you're looking forward to while you're on holiday. So I get to see my mates again
Yeah.
on first day of school.
All right.
Yeah, true that.
Let me talk you through a scenario because obviously this is really weird now because of coronavirus. You're quarantined. You can't see your mates. But what if you had a scenario where you had online? Let's say for example, everyone had online schooling,
Yeah,
like,
bet.
Yeah,
but you know
it was
you
just
get
the
to
main
finish.
thing.
You get to do your work on your own pace, and you can still go see your mates in your own time. Do you reckon that'd be better or worse?
Or when you say
well,
your own pace, like, do you mean that there's a set amount of work, which like there's like units and stuff as like we have now,
The same
and you
as
have to
now.
complete that in a certain
Like,
time?
what's the pace? Like through a day, through a week, or like through a year?
I think the pace would be on a weekly basis, or like because if it was like they set you out a work for the entire term, and they're like you can imagine if they just said here's the work for the entire term, and you just have to finish it by the end of the term. A long deadline isn't good because people will just leave it to the very last minute, right?
Yeah.
Like if they do it day by day or week by week basis, like they set this work for the week or set this work for the day. I know some people would just do all the week's work in 3 days, and then the rest of the week they just hang out with their mates and do whatever.
100%.
yeah.
I think a week's basis would be really good as well because I think it means that even if you like wow, one of those kids who slack off a lot and like leave everything to the last minute. I mean, like myself included, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
No.
Like
Really?
you can, you can kind of, yeah, you have time. You don't have this big overhaul of work that you have to like catch up on like last minute. Because if you're still working through it during the week, then you can like slowly. It gives you kind of this freedom to choose what stuff you want to do on each day as well. So say you have like an assignment like the next day, you can kind of
Yes.
prioritize that and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of is like the benefits of it.
Well,
I
I
even
think along
find
with gaining more time.
I even find that right now, like I'm still doing my schoolwork at like 6:30. That was given that day, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just like
I'm different.
go on.
Well, I think that for me it's just been the same pretty much. Like, you do your work in the periods you're meant to, but
Yeah,
I kind of, because some subjects they want you to be in, like, we use this thing called Microsoft Teams. I'm not sure the listeners at home, if you're from another school, you're probably not, but you probably, let's be real. But
that's a bold view accusation to think.
nah, I
Yeah.
don't know. We won't name any schools here
I'm
because
sorry to all the viewers at home.
Well, we're not that big yet.
I don't know. This podcast's gonna hit 1 million views first thing, but nah, for real.
Hey.
I actually kind of hate that you have to log into your class on the time for your class. Like, I like getting, for chemistry, we just got set the week's work. I like that, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, like
Yeah, go for
I
it.
haven't really followed like the timetable like at all. Like I mean, like initially I was like, oh, I'm trying to follow the timetable, but this is things I kind of I think I need to like prioritize like more by work anyway. It's like spec math and stuff like that. I think I need to spend more time on.
Yeah.
And like all kind of stuff like that. So I think although we have to log in at certain times, I think one that kind of benefits you in the fact that you have to remember there's other stuff to do and you can't get like too bogged down certain things. But two, in effect, in the sense that you can kind of go at your own pace to an extent. And as Xavier said before, he kind of does work up to like 6:30. I mean, right now we have nothing else to do in life basically besides stay at home and
It's
maybe
so
go out for a
boring.
bit.
The only thing
So we
keeping
actually have heaps of time to go through work. Yeah.
True.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing keeping me going right now is just Minecraft. Like,
Yeah.
FIFA.
No, but like being able to finish religion in like 10 minutes is so good because you get more time to allocate to other stuff. 'Cause
Yeah.
to be
True.
realistic,
Wait, you're doing religion?
Yeah, same. Man, don't worry.
you don't need 55 minutes for every subject. Like it's good to be able to delegate your own time, like based on what you need.
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
yeah. The chem work we got said this week was like pretty much nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like that work could be done in 2 periods instead of having like 5 periods on it. So it just kind of saves a lot of time.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what you gotta do. Well, we'll move on to this kind of next topic. What are you guys doing to, like, what's keeping you going through the week currently? Isaac, you wanna start?
I think still it's the same sort of thing like within school. I'm just sort of grinding to get the work done so I can just like relax.
Yep.
And obviously now we don't have like co-curriculars and like travel times and
Mhm.
all this sort of stuff. So we actually get a lot more time to relax. So
What
that's
would
what's
you
been
say
going.
to viewers at home who are really bored out of their mind?
I would say and as has probably been said before, is like now we have more time than we possibly have ever had, like in high school. Or right now this like year 11 cohort is going to have the most amount of spare time. So I think just
Yeah.
do whatever you haven't been able to do in the past.
Yeah, I
But
recommend.
you can do it at home.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Xavier, what were you gonna say?
I recommend having like still some structure because like I still try to find some time to like go for a run or something because physical exercise is very, very important for the mind. So
True.
you still got to find that.
Yeah, true that.
It's hard though. Like, I don't know. I mean, you come off school is so structured, and then they're like, okay, we're trying to keep some structure, but
Thrown in the deep end.
yeah, the ball's in your court now. Good luck. It's a double-edged sword. Like, on one end, it's really good, and you get freedom, but on the other end, like, what the fuck am I meant to do?
Yeah.
I was on PlayStation with a few of the boys last night, and they were just like, they were talking about how many hours of work you've been doing. I was saying like probably like 4 or 5 a day because I was doing like
Yeah.
not like 3 or 4 a day, 3, 4, 5.
Mhm.
And like some of them were saying they've done nothing. It's because they have like no. I mean, because some of them are doing general, and they're saying that they've done literally nothing because they have like no kind of responsibility stuff to do. So I was just kind of thinking like how kind of different these kids' days might be looking right now since we have no school. They have like so much more time, and I know some of them are doing things they actually enjoy, like gymming and stuff like that. So it's kind of like stuff like that. So
Do you reckon that's better?
yeah,
Because I think you could classify people. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but you could classify people in school either those who are held back by school and timetables and stuff, and those who like need that kind of stuff.
totally. I can think of like when you say that, I can think of heaps of kids that come to my mind. I won't like really name them, but so who need the structure to be in place for them to get stuff done.
Because obviously there's kids who are like genetically just really smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we need to provide a bit of context. So like Flynn and Isaac on we had a school camp, and between these two we had a massive full-on debate.
At
Isaac
like 12 o'clock at
at
night.
12 o'clock at night, Isaac was advocating that really genetics don't really play a part in how intelligent you are, and Flynn was the opposite, saying that it's pretty much all mostly genetics.
No, can I add in on that really quick? Because I'll
Sure.
speak for myself actually. I think it's
You're on the
No.
record now, Flynn. The whole world
Yeah,
can hear
no,
you.
I think
Defend
I
yourself.
think that it's yeah, I think it's I think it's about half and half. But I think when you're developing, I think the genetics play like a major role in like how you turn out to be in a sense. But I think at the end of the day, how hard you work will like bring you success.
Yeah, of
Do you know what I
course.
mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Isaac, what do you want to say for the
I don't know, man.
anti-genetics argument?
Oh, for
Are
the
you gonna admit
genetics.
it? Is he gonna admit it?
No, I'm not gonna admit it. I mean, yeah, I agree with Flynn in the sense that it's a bit of both, but it's not like when you're laying in the crib as a baby, like you're just destined to be smart or dumb. Like so much could go wrong in your
Well,
life between.
That's why I feel it was both.
Any way you put it, genetics are going to help.
Exactly. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, look at like everyone's built upon. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but everyone's built upon their own genetics. I mean, obviously, like, there's no reason why if you have different hair color, different body, different like height, everything like that everyone's brains would be like the exact same capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone's like they'd be like built differently. I mean, even minimally, but it still have an effect on how you learn, how like, you pick up information, everything in your life. So I think that's kind of like the way it kind of works.
I don't know.
That's my
I'm
interpretation.
kind of both, but I'm kind of on both sides. But I feel like on who you hang around plays more of a part than anything.
Of course. Yeah.
Like we said this before
Yeah,
the
but
podcast.
that's what your like upbringing is and your work.
I don't think that is. I think that has to do with like.
I think I agree with Isaac.
I'll use
Yeah,
the
I think it's your
example.
upbringing.
Like no, yeah, but that's like a part of your upbringing if you're
It's
like
like, yeah.
classifying it
Well,
Yeah.
we'll use the
in the
example.
context of this argument. Like that's what you would classify it.
Well,
Do you reckon all the wait? I'll use this example. Do you reckon all the fast runners in your primary school are now crackheads? Yes or no? Yeah, like do you reckon that's a good classification? Like for me, probably yes. Maybe I don't. If anyone's listening, from my primary school, don't hurt me. Sorry, love you.
Most of them are.
I completely disagree.
Flynn,
Completely.
I mean, it's obviously different, but because with that kind of wait, Xavier, what do you reckon from
well,
your primary
it
school?
It depends whether you came from an elite boys school or like some rundown
elite
small
boys
primary
school.
school. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know, man. Well, Xavier, from what did you go to like a public school when you were in primary school?
No, I went to Holy Rosary.
Xavier just mentioned his primary school and like a bunch of names, and we went off topic, and I had to edit out a big chunk of this podcast, but we're back. Xavier,
Anyone want to make a diss track? Anyone want to make a diss track on me?
David, mate, none of them heard it. How are they gonna make a diss track?
Yeah, sure.
We can't provide context here, but Xavier, we'll go back to where we were. Are all the fast runners in your primary school now crackheads? Yes or no? It's an easy question. Don't name people.
Yeah.
All right.
My turn. I don't know a single one of the movies, so no.
And then Isaac said yes, and I pretty much said yes. Well, except I'd say probably half. But that's the thing. If you're like genetically good at something, are you more inclined to continue to be better at something, or do you reckon there's like I think there's plenty of kids who are really really smart genetically, but just don't try and still get like
I think
A's
it's
and B's?
genetically smart. If you've had it really easy, like an easy upbringing, because you're good at something, like just because you are, like you've always been good at it. I think you're less inclined to like try and get better at it because you think you always just be like,
Oh yeah.
Mm,
yeah.
We'll take this,
That's
right?
I'm kind of answering
Yeah.
this question.
When we're talking genetics, right? You compare, you know, genetics are involved because there can be like cases of dyslexia and all that. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's genetics. So
that's like
yeah.
straight up like we're talking about like the little differences. Like
oh, of course,
wait,
yeah.
a man's messaging me. Just wait. We'll keep going. So, do you reckon the little difference is like the difference between a kid who gets straight A's and the kid who gets B's? Is the difference purely work ethic, or do you reckon there's examples that kids who aren't as smart and try 10 times harder than kids who like are just naturally smart?
Definitely the second one. Definitely is both.
Like I think eventually hard
Like
work will win.
I agree.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
hard work breeds
Yeah, of
success.
course.
But like, I think I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't think someone who's necessarily like doesn't do very well in school for most of their life can just suddenly working really hard and become like,
Yeah.
I mean, a high degree mathematician. Like, I don't think that's how it works. I mean, I
They
think you
have
have
like
to have like a level of
Well, exactly.
brains, like
they have like
book smart to be able to like further that knowledge. I think that's how it works.
they have like a Rocky training montage and they're like hitting the books or something.
Yeah, some cracker just like, all right, boys, I want to be a maths teacher.
yeah.
Dude, I feel like out of all the teachers, math teachers, you have to be the most qualified.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Like you
Yeah,
can't
for
just be a
sure.
maths teacher. Like if you want to be a humanities
You just
teacher,
read off the book. You have to understand the content.
yeah, you actually have to understand it. It's so hard. Like teaching it's 10 times harder than learning it as well.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on being an art.
Wait,
Is
Xavier.
that even a teacher?
Oh, that cut out.
Wait, Xavier, cut out a little
Being
bit.
an art teacher. Being an art.
That's the
Yeah.
funniest time as well.
Yeah.
Being like an art teacher. Like,
Well,
Yeah, that's
you just
kind
give.
of
Well,
relevant.
if
I
you
mean, you
like
still have to
art,
be good at art. You have to be a
good at
good
art, you know?
artist. Yeah, that's a hard one. I'd say no. I'd say to be like a primary school science teacher. I think that's too hard.
oh yeah.
Well, I reckon most
Like-
people could be like a primary school teacher. It just takes like the most strong-willed people to do that. Like that is one of the hardest jobs.
no disrespect to primary school teachers, man.
No,
They
that's
got
like
to
the
still
hardest.
today.
That's the hardest job. I'm not like this. You just lose.
Primary school
Deal with a
teachers.
few little rat bags. So
You like
that'd be a pain in the ass.
I would
Flynn
hate
would give
doing.
him a smack.
that. You do the clap thing and you like
You say you hate me.
What?
No, I
What?
hate dealing with you.
Oh, bro? I was such a good kid in primary school. What is wrong? Why does everyone hate me so much? I don't understand.
Okay.
Edit this down.
Hey,
Yeah, we're
This-
editing
Flynn playing the
this out.
victim.
this is
again.
meant to be a peaceful podcast.
Yeah. Flynn loves playing the victim because everyone like takes.
Oh
the piss
my god, you reckon so hard.
out of him.
Yeah, so I'm talking about what's your opinion on sugar daddies? Let's just
Alright.
no.
Yeah, let's
You
go
know.
to that. I like that topic. I reckon
Okay, would you be a sugar daddy if you had the money?
no.
Of course.
No.
I'd be a sugar daddy right now.
Cool.
That's a joke.
I mean, what do you mean by what's your opinion on them? Like, do you mean sugar daddies or like the girls that like get in those positions? Like,
You know, everything's open. Just talk about.
I think that's fucked up. I don't know.
Well, obviously,
Is it a job being a sugar baby?
Bro, if you can get in the position when you're a sugar baby, then that's a good position.
let's look at it. You're giving a service for money, and the service being the
Attention.
Just
Yeah.
vibing.
Sometimes it's not
Yeah.
even like sex. It's just attention.
yeah.
No,
You
it's
just-
just people are that lonely. They just paid for a relationship.
And it can normally be like lonely old people sometimes, like with a lot of money. You know.
I don't know. I don't think that's the biggest problem facing our society right now.
Yeah.
There's too many sugar daddies on the loose,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We're kind of going on a roll there about the education system, but I wonder, like, you boys just wanted your opinions on do you reckon?
Good question.
Wait, what are you
How
gonna
do
say?
you think coronavirus? How do you guys think coronavirus is going to affect the world?
Negatively.
Let's have
It's a
some-
pretty open-ended question.
Let's have some structure to this. So
Let's
like
go one by one across. We'll start with
one
Isaac.
by one. Yeah.
How do I think coronavirus is going to affect the world?
Think long term and short term.
All right. I mean, short term is pretty obvious. We're just going to be inside. But long term, I think a lot of businesses are going to realize that it's not only easier to work from home, but it's going to be so much more cost efficient. Like the
Gosh.
workers, I feel like there's some workers who, they have like their 1.5 hour commute and they work 9 to 5. They come home and it's like they get like 3 hours each day or something. They like get depressed. Like working from home, you like wake up on your own time, do your work at home. I don't think a lot of workers who are benefited by that are gonna like come back and just willingly go back. It's like in World War II, when like the women took up all those like industry jobs, and
Yeah.
then when the war ended,
A
they're
time
like,
where it wasn't very prevalent. Yeah, okay.
yeah, they're like, we're not going back to the kitchen, and then like they're like, all right, fair enough. And then now you have women in all these industry
There's a big
jobs,
like revolutionary phase in like kind of women's rights and stuff like back
Yeah,
then.
that's actually
Yeah.
sick though. Like that's a really good example.
But I think up here, but also for a lot of businesses, it'll just be so much more profitable if they're just like, yeah, fair enough, we'll just let you work from home, then we don't have to pay for an office as well.
You also have to think about a lot of people that rely on being able to like work outside,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
work
yeah,
in like in an open environment. So I mean, there's people that like clean houses, like clean bit like offices,
Yeah,
like
some people
cleaners in
can't
general.
work
Like
from home.
often, yeah. I mean, you know, I think about like I mean, it's probably it's a really small percent of people, but like sportsmen, they rely on being able to like play with each other. I mean,
Oh,
in kind of in like an environment like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Flynn, I
But
mean,
being a player like an open, yeah.
do you want to say what you think, like
Go on.
net positive or negative?
I think it'd definitely be. I think short term, like obviously, definitely negative because I think it's going to take a like huge hit on the economy, stuff like that, and on people obviously dying, like stuff like that, and it's just terrible. And I think long term,
You'd be a great politician, Flynn. I'm telling you. If you came up and
and
said
long
that,
term,
like, I don't know.
The good thing about economics is you don't have to
No,
have a
give me a second,
regard
give me
for
a second.
human life. Like
Nah,
you don't
but
need
honestly,
to care about
it's very sad. Like a lot of people, like I mean, are being the families are being really affected by this. 'Cause, like obviously, like family members are dying and suffering stuff like that. I mean, Italy's been hit really hard. Other countries, US being really hit right hard now. Luckily in Australia, we're not being too bad. I think it's been 27 deaths. Obviously, they all count, but it's been a lot less than other places in the world.
Did you see
I think.
sorry.
Xavier, what's
Oh.
going on? You just changed your
Me.
profile picture to an Uno reverse card, and now I hear this slamming noise on your desk.
I'll continue on. So I think long term, I don't know. It's gonna be a weird one. I think if looking in the long, like 5 to 10 years, we can look back in time and think this really like changed the. It really had a huge impact on the way like just world like runs. Hopefully, I mean, you guys have seen how pollution levels and stuff like that gone down heaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This is
true.
like a wake up call to a lot of people to like start like caring for ourselves and like the planet and for each other. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because at the time before this, right, like global warming, climate change was a huge topic of conversation. I mean, we can see in Australia these bushfires have been going on, which is like a huge point just before this coronavirus outbreak. That pandemic, Australia, the bushfires are like the biggest kind of topic globally, which has started from like a huge impact of like hot weather, like long term like heat waves in Australia, which kind of the country wasn't used to in a sense. So it kind of shows how hopefully this is a wake up call to take care of our planet and like, make better decisions to keep the world clean.
Yeah.
Alright.
I
Xavier.
found an sorry. Before I was just closing my door. It wasn't desk.
Xavier, your microphone is garbage.
My microphone. Can you hear me?
You can hear like everything. You can hear like knocking on your desk and like birds outside.
Oh, you can hear. Oh, yeah. All right. Is that better now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. There's a bunch of guys out the front of my house.
Oh, naughty.
Oh, go bash them up.
Yeah. I found I found an article. It's about
Oh, here we go.
top 10 economic predictions. Top 10 economic predictions for the next 10 years.
Counting down the
And-
top 10 economic predictions.
Can you count them down?
So,
Can you do
so
like the top 10
Right, wait.
voice?
Do it like rapid fire. Do it rapid
Yeah,
fire.
like number 10.
number 10. No, okay. I'll go back. Number 10. Housing growth will be sustainable. Number 9. Inflation will remain subsided. The dollar will continue to dip and swell. The US and Chinese economies will be intertwined, and oil and gas prices will rebound. The federal debt will increase, which it has. Healthcare costs will continue to increase. I'm not sure about. What do you think this is going to do to like healthcare? This
Our
whole
healthcare
crisis.
probably won't change because ours
Yeah.
is already like free.
But I mean,
Guys,
I think the US is gonna take a big hit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't know. I think that, when we're talking about coronavirus and what its effects on everything, I think in the long term, a lot of things are positively like benefiting our society.
Yeah.
Like the research now, people are going nuts to try and make this cure or this vaccine, right? Because we need this vaccine because if you think about it, what all the experts are saying is if we do what we're doing right now in quarantine, we're not really quarantining, but we'll get to a point where we're proper quarantining, like full on, we can't leave the house, like what
Yeah.
a lot of countries are doing now. And how long is it going to last?
Well,
True.
this whole isolation thing is going to be a multi-stage process.
But
Because
how
what's-
long until we get to leave with it being completely gone? Like
It's
it
like
will never disappear until there's a vaccine. That's
Okay.
the thing.
Vaccine could be anywhere from the next month because they're already trialing a vaccine.
vaccines are like 6 to 9 months apparently. They
Yeah.
have to like trial them, make sure that they're safe and there's not heaps of side effects.
Yeah.
Can you run that number by me again, Flynn?
Treatment apparently for though, the same treatment for like malaria, which is apparently pretty big, which is they're having good success
Yeah.
using.
I had anti-malarials. They're really strong when I went to Thailand.
But yeah, I think if that goes inside up to 3-4 months. I mean, look at Wuhan. They're starting to people out. China is people out now. If you think about it, this virus really broke out probably early January, like when it really broke out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the world like it kind of naive, like it'll be contaminated a bit, like contained. Sorry, but I think that they're starting to be let out now and kind of late March, which is about 2.5 months later. I mean, China's a lot stricter than Australia. I mean, they have a full on.
Xavier, what's going on?
Oh, sorry. I'm just. My mic's really weird.
China's political system again.
All right, keep going, Flynn. It's just there's crunching coming from Xavier's mic.
No, I'm walking down the stairs.
Like nation like China. This is like kind of key people.
Xavier, can you mute yourself?
Okay, so.
It sounds like he's opening the fridge right now. Okay, keep going, Flynn. Flynn, continue.
It's about this. So like China, right, being a communist nation, it's pretty easy to take control of your people and kind of like keep them locked inside and stuff like that. They kind of stamp their foot down. Whereas in a Western society, I don't think kind of like people will put up with it as much.
Yeah.
And it kind of, like, as you've seen in the US and stuff. I mean, there's spring break was every now and these kids were still going out and like having spring, like trying to party and stuff in like Florida, beaches of Florida and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's the big way this virus gets passed around. I mean, I think it's about stuff like that. When the government can't lock down those kids because we live in a society where they won't put up with it. This is just like an example of how it might be like hit these nations a bit harder. Whereas,
Yeah.
so I think we might end up seeing ourselves like locked in, like inside a bit longer than China, for example, because it takes a bit longer to like, make decisions, stuff like that. But I think max would be like 3 months from now.
100%.
Really, dude? I think this is like at least a 6-month affair. Like this is gonna suck.
This will suck. Yeah.
Well,
But,
I don't know. I don't know where Xavier's gone, but I think we should
Oh,
close.
hi. I'm still here.
Okay, I think we should close on a happy note with saying some good things that have happened and some good things you can try to do to feel better about this Corona Bono?
Well, look, I personally think I'm getting a lot more free time, and I feel a lot more relaxed with my learning. Like I'm not so much stressed about learning something just to be tested on it.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think Mr. Brennan was really right in saying like what a
to bleep
great
that
thing
out.
it is that now we're just true. What a great thing one of our teachers said that like now we're learning for the sake of learning and not for the sake of testing.
True.
I really agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Someone else
No,
go.
that's good. That's a nice thing to take away. Flynn, what's your closing note?
My closing note for because the
What-
global pandemic right now, a lot of people are spending time inside. So I think just kind of find a hobby, find something you really enjoy that you can do inside your house. Maybe like if it's art or kind of like making music, starting a podcast.
Making a
Just
podcast.
something-
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
No,
something enjoy it.
if you make a podcast, we will sue you. I'm telling you right now. Like
100%.
you're getting
100%.
you're getting a
You
lawsuit.
find what you enjoy, make like the most of this time you have inside and try to stay healthy. That's my closing point.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Xavier.
Well, I reckon housing prices will it'll be a lot easier to buy a house.
That's your
because
Yeah, what if no one has money?
Yeah.
no, think about it, right? In 5 years, right, there'll be a reduction in old people.
Oh,
And-
okay. Yikes.
There'll be a reduction in older people.
Yikes.
Anyway,
Yeah,
a
Yeah,
positive note.
You speak in facts.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't-
okay, that's
Look,
facts.
I don't
But
like to think about this, but continue.
I reckon people just get closer to their families.
Mm.
There'll be a lot more nights in watching movies with the families,
Oh, I already had one. I agree.
and then cooking cooking together and all that. So
I learn how to cook, man. Learn how to cook.
yeah.
My brother was meant to do cooking on period 6 on Friday and had to do it at home and record it. And I walked in the kitchen and it smelled like shit. But I don't know. No, that was a lie. It looked alright. They were making an omelet, so.
Oh, omelets.
But yeah, I'd just like to leave on all the people watching. Please talk to your friends. Like, if you don't have any friends, go make some friends online. Isaac here made a Minecraft server. All the boys have been vibing out on it.
Yeah.
Play
You know-
some video games.
It was just yesterday that I broke the social distancing laws. Me and my mates went down to the park, and yes, you're only meant to have 2 people, but fuck the government because I live in a free society.
I think that's the end, boys.
All right, boys.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll close on that note. If there's no podcast next week, Xavier has been kidnapped by government officials. But yeah, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe,
Cheers, boys.
I guess.
And that was the standard view.
Wait, why the fuck did I leave?
Why did you
That was
actually?
the end of the recording.
Wait, why